Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio, so today we need to go and take a look at some new trainers Pokemon from, Battle Partners in Japan, Journey Together over in the West. It's trainers Pokemon. It's exciting. It's not owners Pokemon, and I've seen some people being like, they must have changed it. It's been like this since like Gen 1. Seriously, Gym Heroes, use trainers Pokemon. It's all good. This is just the way it is. But what have we got? Well, I want to start off with End's Purrloin, because this is weird. There is no End's Liepard. And we know for a fact that there is no End's Liepard, because End's Purrloin is card number 59 in the set, and End's Zorua is card number 60 in the set. If there was End's Liepard, it would be coming after End's Purrloin. That is the spot it would take up in the set. But it can't, because there isn't a space. So we get a Purrloin with a guarantee we won't have a Liepard. And please remember, End's Purrloin can only evolve into End's Liepard. End's Purrloin does not evolve into Liepard. End's Pokemon evolve into End's Pokemon. Regular Pokemon evolve into regular Pokemon. That is a very important distinction. So it's not going to be evolving. Do we care? Well, it's not a great card, I'm going to be honest with you. 70 HP, lovely artwork, but 2 energy, 30 damage, and look at your opponent's hand. Choose a card you find there and put it at the bottom of your opponent's deck. Oh, cool. It's 2 energy, it does 30 damage, and it gets 1 card out of your opponent's hand. In a vacuum, this is a pretty bad card. But we're not talking in a vacuum here. We've got End Zoroark. And End Zoroark has that lovely attack whereby you just copy the attack of one of your benched End's Pokemon for 2 energy. Point being, you're always going to have 2 energy on Zoroark, and then you're essentially going to be just picking and choosing whatever attack on the bench you want. In that context, maybe there's an opening for Purrloin here. Now, I don't think it's phenomenal, let's be perfectly clear, but I'm saying there's potentially an opening, because what if your opponent's only got 1 card in hand? What if you're pretty sure your opponent's got a terrible hand, or, and I like this the best, what if your opponent's active Pokemon's got 30 or less HP remaining? If you're getting a KO anyway, you might as well use this so you can get rid of a card in their hand and frustrate them. There will be times you look at their hand and it's garbage, 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 a supporter card. You get rid of the supporter card, their hand is now just garbage, and you win the game. That is absolutely something that will happen. And like I say, if you can get a KO with this attack, then getting rid of a card in their hand is a phenomenal bonus. So it's weird that End doesn't have a Liepard. Now, when I say it's weird End doesn't have a Liepard, yes, I know that canonically End never had a Liepard, only a Purrloin, so actually thematically it makes sense and I love that. But just from a set construction standpoint, having a basic without the corresponding stage 1 always feels weird, that's my point. But this is actually a potentially useful attack. It's pretty terrible in a vacuum, but if it's just sitting on your bench and it's one option for Zoroark, there is a reason to use it. Oh yeah, we've actually got one other very nice End card that was gone and revealed. It's End's Castle, which is frankly rewarding me for learning castle in Japanese. Yes, I am proud of myself. And what we've got here with End's Castle is very simply, all End's Pokemon in play, that is yours and your opponent's, have no retreat cost. Free retreat for all End's Pokemon. And this is my kind of stadium, right? Because stadiums are always two-sided. They apply to both players. I know a few years ago we had ones that were different on each side, but generally speaking, they just do the same thing to both players. So what you really want to try and do is find a stadium which is great for you, but doesn't really help out your opponent. This. Obviously, in an End's mirror match, then yeah, you're both going to take advantage of it, but you'll both be playing it, so it doesn't really matter. But a lot of time here, you play this, you get free retreat on all of your Pokemon, your opponent gets nothing, mate. I think that's wonderful. I really like this. I think it's one of these where you're just going to play it in End's decks. I just think it's too good not to play. Having free retreat for everything, yeah. honestly. You can get rid of Pokemon that are stuck in the active. You can get rid of Pokemon that are about to be KO'd. It means your opponent, if they want to try and strand one of your Pokemon in the active, they have to also get rid of your stadium. Just gives you a lot more options. I adore this. It seems like a no-brainer in Ends decks. So we like the new End cards. 2 of those, we like them. What about Hop? How about Hop's Bag? Is Hop's Bag as iconic as End's Castle? I'm going to go out on a limb and say no, although looking at the artwork for End's Castle really makes me want to replay Gen 5. I don't have time to replay Gen 5 right now. Give us a remake so I can justify playing through it again. Thank you. But what we got from Hop's Bag here is an item card which is just phenomenal in Hop decks. It just lets you search your deck for 2 basic Hops Pokemon and put them onto your bench. To put it another way, it is an objectively better version of Buddy Buddy Poffin, but only for End's Pokemon. There's no question or controversy here. If you're playing Hop's Pokemon, this is better than Buddy Buddy Poffin. Buddy Buddy Poffin gets 2 Pokemon with 70 HP or less. This gets 2 Pokemon. The only downside is, it's a fairly significant downside, but the only downside is it's got to be Hop's Pokemon. But if you're playing a deck which is entirely or largely Hop's Pokemon, you're not going to worry here. Honestly, the only thing I'm worried about with Hop here is that we've not seen a draw engine. We've not seen any draw engine here to help out Hop's Pokemon. We've seen a bunch of good Hop's Pokemon. You know, we know we've got Snorlax with the ability to make your attacks do an extra 30 damage, which is clearly brilliant. And we know we've got Dubwool, which when you evolve into it is gusting, which is brilliant. And we got a bunch of good attackers. But actually, we've not seen a draw engine. And that's the only thing that worries me here, purely because if we don't have a draw engine in Hop's decks, then we're probably going to have to play a draw engine. But then the pieces of the draw engine won't be Hop's Pokemon, so you're not going to be able to search them out using this item card. Which is honestly a little bit annoying, but that is like about the worst thing I can say about it at this point. So I'm really not terribly worried. Just play this in addition to your other Pokemon search. I'm sure it's going to be fine. I think Hop's decks are looking incredibly strong. And let's give you another example here. Let's talk about Corviknight. Now, for what it's worth, 170 HP is pretty good. Being a stage 2 is bad. And the second attack, free energy, 150, you take 60 less from attacks next turn. It's not brilliant. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't mind this attack. And I like taking 60 less from attacks next turn. And my basic energy of choice is going to be metal because of Hop Zacian anyway. I just think stage 2 free energy, it's asking a bit much. But the first attack, single energy, 50 to the active, 50 to one of your opponent's bench. This I like very much indeed. Because remember, it's not really 50 damage. Because Snorlax says you get to do an extra 30 damage. Snorlax, remember, will not stack. You can only use one of them per turn. Sorry about that. But we also have our Stadium, Post-Wick, which lets your Hops Pokemon do an extra 30 damage. And we also have Hop's Choice Band, which lets you do an extra 30 damage. So you should a lot of the time be doing an extra 90 here, which is 140 to the active, 50 to the bench. And remember, Hop Zacian also hits the bench. Hop Zacian is 30-30, this is 50-50. But of course, this is a stage 2 that only gives up 1 prize, rather than a basic that gives up 2. I'm not sure it's going to work, honestly. I'm not sure I really want to be playing this when Zacian is slightly weaker, at least for the first attack, but a basic Pokemon. I don't think, when I'm looking at Hop's decks, I'm not loving Hop's Corviknight, honestly. And I do think a lot of the time I'm just playing Zacian instead, but it does give a nice new option. I think Hop's Bag is awesome. I think Hop's Corviknight is a little bit meh. For what it's worth in terms of the pre-evolutions here, just for completeness sake, Rookie's got an attack for a single energy that says this Pokemon takes 20 less damage from attacks next turn. There we go. It's fine. It's not particularly impressive. But that's not the point. It's all about Corviknight here. I do worry that Corviknight is actually a bit disappointing. I don't think Corviknight's that good. But I love Hop's Bag. I love End's Castle. And actually End's Purrloin is sneaky kind of good. So 3 out of 4 ain't bad. And it's not that I don't think Hop's Corviknight can work. It's that I just don't think it's worth going up to a stage 2 when Zacian does almost the same thing. Right, there we go. That's what you need to know. And now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about these new cards. Tell me what you think about these trainers and which of the 4 you prefer. Tell me anything you want to tell me in the comment section. Get us! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get a bunch of bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. And get shout-outs on the channel like the lovely Martin Cornwall, who firstly has got a last name of the place I'm from, but also has been supporting us literally since the podcast started in 2012. So shout out to Martin for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.